Hi guys, thanks for joining us for a stretched and faded review. Today we're going to be taking a look at Peroxide by Nina Nesbitt. So Peroxide sees the debut offering from pop folk artist Nina Nesbitt. Perhaps the most relevant place to start the review is to say that Nesbitt is a stunning 19-year-old who became a thing in music via YouTube videos that caught the eye of Ed Sheeran. Her cover of Fleetwood Mac's Don't Stop also appeared on a John Lewis advert. Now, why is this the most relevant place to start? Well, it's because these facts combined mean that irrespective of how well her album is received critically, she will go on to sell a shit ton of records and stack up loads of YouTube views. Which is a good job, because her album never quite manages to make it beyond anything but cliched and mediocre. So perhaps the biggest failing of the album is that over the course of 20 tracks, Nesbitt fails to establish any kind of identity. Melodies are largely nice and pleasant without ever threatening to be close to infectious, and lyrics have the depth and quality of a teenager's blog post without ever being insightful or thought-provoking. As I said in the introduction, I'm positive that all of the teenage girls who hear this album will declare it the best album ever for 5 minutes, and this will provide commercial success. But if the quality of the album is any indication, Nesbitt will need to take drastic action to preserve a long-term career in music. The themes of the album seem to have been constructed as if it were a resume for that British Taylor Swift vacancy that doesn't exist anywhere except in the minds of record executives looking to make easy money. Pretty blonde with red lipstick? Check. Does she play her own instruments? Check. Does she sing songs about being in love? Heartbreak? Songs about her ex-boyfriend? Check. Obligatory song about how when she was 16 she thought she knew everything and was really grown up, but now that she's 18 she's really grown up and mature and can't believe how immature and childish she was when she was 16. Check. Unfortunately, sticking so rigidly to this paint-by-numbers Swift formula has left little room for Nina to showcase herself as an artist. The reality is that the most beneficial thing for Nesbitt would have been to avoid comparison with Swift at all cost, as the comparison leaves her so glaringly exposed. Her lyrics lack the wit, reflection and cynicism of Swift, and are often left sounding childish and naive by comparison. When she does attempt to come off as edgy, as in the song Mr. C, she simply ends up sounding like a discount Lily Allen. Musically, the album is also underwhelming and fails to separate Nesbitt from her folk compatriots Amy Macdonald and Katie Tunstall. Despite the album containing almost universally pleasant melodies, and Nesbitt possessing an undeniably good voice, and if you don't believe me, do check out her live videos because they prove as much. But there's nothing on this album which demands attention and repeated listens, and this is the most vital attribute for any folk song. Perhaps the most concerning aspect in relation to this is that it offers no clear indication of the future direction Nesbitt will head in. When I listen back to the debuts from Macdonald and Tunstall, they're by no means perfect, but you can hear the genesis of the direction that their respective music careers are going to follow. The same can't be said of Nesbitt, whose album shows little evolution despite being 2 years in the making, nor is it ever brave enough to digress from the perceived safety of the identikit Taylor Swift sound. If there's a positive to take from the album, it's that Nesbitt appears to possess all the raw materials to become an accomplished singer-songwriter. As a young artist signed to a major label, it's vital that her record company take care in cultivating this and provide her with sound guidance at this fledgling stage in her career. That means avoiding instances like this, where an undoubtedly attractive young woman seems to have been pushed into doing something she clearly isn't comfortable with. Allow her instead to take risks with her music and point her towards artists like Michelle Branch and Vanessa Carlton for inspiration, instead of trying to clone her into Taylor Swift, because she will always be Cindy to Swift's Barbie. There is a precedent for this. Christina was marketed as a Britney clone, but went on to become an artist in her own right, and arguably one that Spears ended up trying to emulate. So we're going to award the album score of 4 out of 10, and believe me, if I didn't think Nesbitt was a promising talent, albeit one that is well hidden on this album, it would have scored significantly lower. Hopefully the lukewarm critical reception to her album is going to spur her on to better things, because she now needs to decide if she's going to become an Adele or a Duffy. The next step for Nesbitt will surely be to enjoy the commercial success that this album is going to bring, but what happens after that falls squarely onto her shoulders and that of her record company.